Well, hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to this. Welcome to RPG with DBJ, and I am your host, DBJ. And welcome to a somewhat different format that this week that we tend to come up on my own because I get obsessed with something that either someone said or I see something, and of course I have to share my obsession with you guys out there in the tabletop RPG community. So today is Monster Monday. Let's place Monster Monday down here below and leave ourselves a little bit of space, maybe because we might have to put some descriptors or things down there below. So I like to do a little preamble of where my mind is coming from. So this Monster Monday, and for those who don't know, we go live Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, my time, and we are, of course, are completely interactive over on Twitch and YouTube and our own Discord server. Now, normally we talk pretty much role-playing games, Dungeons and Dragons being the most popular, and then we end the week with Future Friday, where we talk about science fiction. But I thought we would do this all week long, and this came about. This particular subject for me has come about because of a rabbit hole I went down. So I'm going to drop a couple of terminologies out there for you guys. And because we're all in the geekosphere, I'm pretty sure you know what they mean. But I want to spark some conversation a bit. Uh, NFTs, Ethereum or Ether, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, tokens, Beeple, and nearly $70 million in in uh, in an auction for a magnus opus of digital artwork. Okay. And all of that combined together to make me think of this idea of taking this subject of not just cryptocurrencies, but crypto authenticity and expanding that out into other parts of not only reality but fantasy in our science fiction and moving it on from there. And it's just a very fundamental I think aspect of where the future is going, and even a different way to categorize copyright and uh, liability and ownership in a realm where it is nearly impossible to to gain possession or hold on to something creative in the digital world, where it's extremely easy to, if someone creates a one-off widget that solves some sort of problem very easily, well, it's pretty easy to then take that widget, take it apart, rebuild it, make it yourself, with the owner not getting any benefit from that particular creation. Dead man's like, enemies in the cloud, like Poe from Altered Carbon. Oh, hell's yes, hell's yes. So again, for those who don't know, we each day is subdivided. We have Monster Monday today, Trope Tuesday, World Building Wednesday, Third Pillar of Exploration Thursday, and of course Future Friday. So little let's get on the same page with some of our descriptors, and then we're going to move on from there. All right. So we all know what cloud servers are. Hey, I destroyed my phone by flushing it down the toilet yet one more time. I need to get my new phone. I'm glad I have all my contacts and pictures in the cloud. We collectively understand what the cloud is. And I use Google Docs all the time when I'm trying to write. Hey, if I'm sitting on the shitter, I'm writing. Okay, I'm trying to come up with something, and I'm deleting files and going back in and rewriting it again, or trying to move things around. So we understand what cloud servers are. Now, there are some recent terminologies like cryptocurrency. Hey, Mofa, good morning. Cryptocurrencies and Ethereum and NFTs, and you'll hear a lot of that nature. And again, I'm an armchair expert. I guess the word expert shouldn't be inserted into that line. I'm an armchair technologist, a transhumanist, and so the term NFT stands for non-fungible token. It absolutely looks like non-fungible. I hope we end up instead of calling them just NFTs, I hope we call them like fungies or something. But um, and you'll hear the word blockchain and whatnot. Now, I'll give you the description that at least Wikipedia gives it, and then put it in layman terms because that's where I rest. So, a non fungible token or NFT is a unit of data stored on a digital ledger called a blockchain that certifies a digital asset to be unique and therefore not interchangeable. NFTs can be used to represent items such as photos, videos, audio, and other types of digital files. Access to any copy of the original file, however, is not restricted, um, to the buyer of the NFT. So there's a distinction on that as well. While copies of these digital items are available for anyone to obtain, NFTs are tracked on blockchains to provide the owner with a proof of ownership that is separate from copyright. So, an NFT with the last part tokens, which is probably and really what's they're going to be called tokens. A token is a complex, unchanged, yep, thank you, dead man, yep, non fungible token. And a non fungible token is a like a digital fingerprint connected to a digital asset. So if someone were to create a digital art piece, or let's say you go to ArtStation, love myself some concept art off of ArtStation, and you go there. One of the creators there can say, you know what? I'm going to add a token, an NFT, a non fungible token, to this particular piece that I created. And then those who want to purchase that art, and other than just ripping it off online, they want to actually purchase it from that creator, will have a link, a token to that piece of art. Now, if you ever been out to like an art festival here in Columbus, Ohio, we every year we except for last year, we've had a large art festival, and lots of people create art, and you can buy prints of those arts, whether it's in black and white, very large or small prints, and things of that nature. The owner, the person who created the art, still owns the rights to the art, but you purchased that art. And normally they are numbered. A very easy way is there's 500 pieces of this art print. You've just purchased number 307. Okay. Hey, Cam, what's going on there? Glad to have you guys. So, an NFT, this non fungible token, means that once that token is created for that art piece, it not only can it not be changed, but it's also proof that you purchased this from this individual. Now, the question comes in, well, if you can just get online and go to ArtStation and rip a piece of art for your role playing game or something, and you are using the art piece legally, right, for your own purposes, not trying to resell it or claim it's yours, or you're using it for your own entertainment for your role playing game, why would I want to purchase the artwork? Well, it's just like purchasing anything artistic or created by another individual, right? For example, it is within our ability to 3D print probably a Ferrari today. If you can't even 3D print it, I'm sure you could take a CNC machine and get aluminum created. Ferraris are made with carbon fiber. I'm sure the paint. I'm sure you could take a perfectly good Ferrari today, take it apart, and have somebody else build an exact duplicate of a Ferrari, down to the leather and all the bolts and everything. The problem is your duplicate of a Ferrari, no matter how much fidelity the duplication is, it's not a real Ferrari. Okay, so there's something attached to buying a device or a piece of art or audio from an individual, and the thing is that you want to know that it came directly from that individual. uh, Elon Musk created an NFT that sold for over $1 million. Billionaire Elon Musk listed a recent tweet of his as an NFT or non fungible token. Despite a bid for over $1 million, he ultimately decided not to sell. And remember, digital assets can have an NFT. Now, I know I'm going down this NFT because we really want to talk about role playing games. And where am I going with this NFT idea? All right, so it's Monster Monday. So I was imagining we're talking about science fiction, okay? And let's go with the most basic yet absurd idea in that there are these various criminal organizations around the solar system, and they need to have themselves some minions, all right? And there's let's say there's a scale of 1 to 10, and on a scale of 1 to 5, there are like biological enhancements or cybernetic enhancements. Anything above a 5 is like dangerous for the human body or psychology or their biological systems. But everybody knows once there's a rule, there's always somebody out there to break it. And so maybe there's one creator or an organization that creates these biological soldiers that go past the 5 mark. They go up towards 10, even though their lifespans are short, or the injections cause horrific nightmares, or short lifespans or something, or there's cybernetics that are policed and they are licensed and they're extremely illegal, but there's also a way to hide them from censors or something. Maybe there's a creator out there who has like a cloud service for other criminals to download themselves some minions, some lackeys, some other super soldier serums that they can get the files for, or the danger that presents to us today. A person in their garage who can crowd fund or crowd build themselves a lethal virus using off the shelf mechanisms to distill these kind of things. So I'm imagining not only would the player characters be able to run and gun and fight off like giant robots or intrusive synthezoids or biological soldiers, but there's also the greater danger that the criminals or bad guys or black ops or whatever that the player characters are going against are getting this from a cloud server. And it's not just from any cloud server. Maybe there's an individual who's not committing the crimes themselves, but they are the creators of a cloud service with a digital imprint, a token, an NFT, this non-fungible token that you are purchasing some kind of criminal element from a person who's an expert at it. Oh, you want to commit a heist and break into, I don't know, the equivalent of a Fort Knox somewhere in the future. All right, you want to do that? You're going to need the best programs or hacking, uh, best hacking programs. You're going to need the best stealth materials or the highest grade weapons, and the only way to get those are from individuals who, despite the fact that there's a lot of knockoffs out there, no, you need the token. You need to know that this came from this individual or track it back to the person who sold it. Cameron says there's also the act of patronage. By buying something, you are supporting that industry's growth. Yeah, it's a self. It is a we are built around a patronage industry, right? Like, for example, anything that is artistic. So you've got fashion and sculpting and music and things of that nature. The more you purchase, the more you support that industry, the greater that industry will grow. Let's take a look at, like, right now I have my one of my cats sitting next to me. She finally laid down, and there's a whole pet industry. Okay. And the pet industry is a probably tens, probably maybe even into the hundreds of billions of dollars. And why? Well, we have, all kinds of pet treats and uniforms for them to wear and care for them and the food and all that kind of business. So this isn't something new. It's just a new medium. It's a digital medium. Dead Man says the guy who built a nuclear device out of the nuclear material in smoke detectors. Yeah, yeah. You can go down a pretty dangerous rabbit hole about the most lethal devices created out of household items it's pretty crazy. Matter of fact, this goes back into the '60s with the Anarchist Cookbook, and it went on from there. Or another book written, I don't remember the gentleman's name, that was titled "Please Steal This Book." Cameron says you're going to need an extra Bruce Willis for that one. An extra Bruce Willis, a little pocket Bruce Willis, to help you with your heists and fighting criminals and things. So, all right, so there is a gentleman. The rabbit hole I went down is there's a gentleman that goes by the name of Beeple. His name is Mark. Wow, I forgot his name already. Mark Winkelmann, better known as Beeple. He is a digital and 3D rendering artist. And 13 and a half years ago, he started something that he called the Everydays, in which every single day he created a digital art piece. And uh, he most recently appeared on a few videos by the Corridor Crew guys on YouTube. And he sold, now mind you, this is again 13 and a half years later, created over 5,000 digital art pieces. And the people who have followed him, who are into digital art and rendering and 3D animation and CGI, follow this dude. And he's kind of made it his uh, uh, a general life's work to figure out how to do the best with the least amount of work to get a digital product done. Well, most recently on Christie's, they listed 5,000 of his pieces together. It has grouping of a digital grouping of 2,061 pieces by 21,061 pixels. That's how big the single art piece is, so that you can zero in and get a fully rendered image of all 5,000 of these pieces, even though they are like this digital collage. And it's sold on the digital marketplace for nearly $70 million. Essentially, a giant ass JPEG sold for nearly $70 million. This is a very new industry of creating digital artwork, and of course, there's other kinds of art, whether it's audio files, video, things of that nature. And you right now today, and any of you out there right now today, can take an original digital piece, which you could take a photo of yourself and get an NFT attached to it. Yeah. Oh, thank you there, dead man. Oh, I'm sorry, Tesla. I apologize for that, Tesla. Tesla says Beeple NFT sells for $69.3 million, becoming most expensive ever. The blockbuster piece far exceeds expectations for what the price could fetch. So the reason why this is important for today, both tabletop gaming, what we're talking about in the world, is that this is speculative, because the value of something only, much like the housing industry, the value of something is what everybody else thinks that value is. I know that sounds strange, but it's, I know many of you have seen something, the cost of something, and you go, that's too expensive, right? All of us do that cost effect analysis in our head, even for the simplest thing. See, I love chocolate chip cookies, and you see a dessert in front of you. It doesn't have to be your chocolate chip cookie. I'll eat it if you don't want it. And you put a price tag next to it. You could set that price tag at $70 million up top. And that price tag can keep coming down lower and lower and lower. At some point, someone somewhere is going to go, I'll buy that for that amount of money. Now, what price, what's the highest price that you think you could buy that chocolate chip cookie before somebody else snatches it up? $12? $5? How about $3 for a single chocolate chip cookie? 50 cents, right? Before that, it hits that rock bottom, you know, American dime, and that you'd buy it for, somebody else is going to snatch it up. And so there's something else built around the idea of speculation and ownership. And in a tabletop gaming world, if you want to become king of the world, you want to have a habitat, and you want to have followers, or you want to commit space piracy, or you want to, commit assassinations and black ops in a world with robots and cybernetics and things of that nature, you're going to need the best. And what are you willing to pay for it to know, to in a world where you really can't trust anything or anyone? What are you willing to pay for? Now, depending on the setting that you have, because we're going to talk about this like on World Building Wednesday, especially, and further on, but maybe there's a world where these tokens, these NFTs exist to unlock these blockchains. And the blockchains are like, it's like a key that's attached to the value, I'm sorry, attached to the digital product that's created. And there's a bit of a dark line to the idea of these blockchains. And that is, in order to, not only may you want to buy this $69.3 million piece of artwork, but there is a blockchain attached to it. There's the NFT. And that token has to reside somewhere. Okay. So, in other words, while Beeple has created a physical manifestation of his digital art, the digital art is the thing that has the extreme value to it. So where does that blockchain go? Where is it at? And that adds to us a third element that I love about this concept, and that is, of absolutely a post-apocalyptic style setting, where's the token at? What, maybe they're hidden in the eclipse phase setting, and I think you could even insert this into Altered Carbon and even the Expanse, that uh, digital technology, it's it's far easier than we think for digital technology to disappear from our view. While it's easy for us to dig up an ancient relic, it might be extremely difficult for us to find a digital footprint when it disappears out of our view. For example, how many old mainframe computers have been thrown onto a trash heap, and that information is gone. Now, yes, we do have the internet, and there are lots of people who are data miners who want to bring back, for example, rendering old video games is a very popular thing that people want to do to allow us to use them today. But as computer technology gets faster and better, and we start using different types of, not mechanisms, but formats, the old formats disappear. And it's not because it's erased, it just means we can't use it anymore. And then, unfortunately, since it's not linked into anything, you have to find it. So there might be digital artifacts out there, these blockchains that are ready for someone to find them, to then find out the real ownership of something very valuable. Now, these blockchains today are on mainframes, and those mainframes require lots of power. And so there is this panic that every time you attach a token, an NFT, this fungible token, non-fungible token, or a blockchain to a digital artifact, that it has to be supported somewhere. It's got to be plugged in and turned on. Essentially, you got to have a running light bulb. I'm being very, very armchair about that. You have to have something plugged in and turned on constantly. And where are these mainframe farms going to be? Are we going to start building them down into the oceans and filling them up? Where does the power come from? What do you burn to get that power? Do we have enough solar power to power one of these things? How do we cool it down? Are we going to just start using coal and coal firing power plants? And that's the fear that some people have. Some reading some articles, they say that it's burning, each token burns the equivalent power of an extra individual on an airline flight when it burns the fuel. And so when you fill up, like, for example, people may be responsible for having 5,000 people fly in airplanes around the world, right? Because every one of these pieces of art is attached to this token, and that's things. Like Tamara says, if things lived inside the internet, what would they be? Exactly. Like, how do we? if someone were to copy your brain, and then if someone were to download you, or something were to become sentient inside of a computer, would it then automatically, like the equivalent of an individual soul, would it have a token attached to it that you could never you that describes its authentic origins, as opposed to making copies of it, right? Like, sure, maybe an AI becomes sentient and that AI makes a copy of itself, but is there an AI patient zero of sorts? Is there a way to, would there be something? And maybe there is a way to track a person who's copied themselves, their brain 1,000 times over, back to the original. Or would each copy of a person have their own token, and then if someone were to alter their brain, that token is no longer attached to that copy of it, right? As well as the fact that it's not even about whether it's authentic, but it's who it came from has a value to it as well. In our artistic world, it's not that it's not that you purchased a great pair of jeans. It's the brand name attached to it. It's the designer's name that gives it the authenticity, right? It's not just sunglasses, they're Oakleys. It's not just jeans, they're Levi's or Lee's or Jordache or something of that nature. It is the brand attached to it, gives us just as much importance as to what it is. Now, that brand may be related to quality. It might be related to rarity. It might be related to, like in Beeple's situation, that computer programmer, it might be related to a challenge, right? Like, this person created a piece of digital art every day for 5,000 days. So that in and of itself is a triumph beyond the quality of what was created, you know? Uh, Mufa says a rogue AI that wants all information to exist only within the cloud. That's a possibility too. And maybe that AI wants the authentic information. It doesn't want it secondhand, which might be a thing as well. And a rogue AI that is trying to, what was the television show? Devs. In the television show Devs, they were trying to create. I know, spoiler alert. Sorry if you haven't watched it. That these computer programmers were trying to replicate every form of chaos in our world, because there is no such thing as chaos in our world. Everything is sparked by something else. And if you can have a digital representation of every motivating factor in our universe, you could then recreate our universe using that same digital information. What I mean by that is, you could take me, and from my birth up to my age today, record, if you could figure out and record every decision I made based on every external result, then you could recreate me and then predict every thought I have in my future. So part of this may be predictive technologies as well. So the more authentic information a rogue AI obtains, the greater chance they have to predict the future. I understand that Minority Report used psychics, but we do have today predictive technologies, and there's questionable ethics when it comes to predictive digital technologies as well, right? Because predictive technologies might use things like race, age, um, wealth, your living arrangements, your relationships. Those that information in the past can predict your future, and through insurance companies using it for medicine, for law enforcement using it to predict whether there's going to be crimes committed. Those kind of things could be troublesome in our present day, but may be useful for somebody or something or some organization or corporation or faction or black ops organization or criminal element, and use that as a tool to say, oh, hey, we have hell, you could even be the far futures version of a warlock in Dungeons and Dragons. Like maybe a player character is following or serves a predictive algorithm of what the future may hold, which is what makes them a badass in the present day by predicting what's going to happen before it happens, so that they become these like badass soldiers or something. That might be kind of cool. Cameron says Ian Malcolm would disagree. Is that Mal from Firefly? I don't know. I don't know the reference. Okay, so hey Vince, what's going on? Yeah, we're talking science fiction all week long on today, and a little bit about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and things like that. That's where the impetus came from. So we're going to flow into that just quite a bit. There's another thing as well because today is Monster Monday, that some of the Oh, okay. Jeff Gold. That was Jeff Gold. Oh, he was Malcolm. Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park. Yeah, yeah. He was the. Thank you. There. Afe Nerd. Yes, as well in the Twitch. Like Ian Malcolm is the chaos theorist from Jurassic Park. Yeah, he's the one that's like telling everybody we shouldn't be doing this, which is why somebody probably will, right? And just like today, just this idea of selling $69 million worth of JPEGs, and digital art and 3D art, and the speculation that brings. Yeah, like Dr. Ian Malcolm says, life will find a way. Yeah, when life tries to find a way, ooh, I don't think we're too far away from digital artifacts becoming alive in their own way. I think the most of the fear we have is that I think there's a greater fear that a digital artifact, an AI, will most likely represent us more than a little bit, right? Because selfishly, all of us think that we think and act and behave in our best interests. Our fear is all the other 8.5 billion other people on the rest of the planet don't. And so an AI that embodies the other 8 billion people that aren't you, um, is pretty fearful for most people, because most of us selfishly are like, no, everything I think of is perfectly fine. I'm a perfect individual that has a great outlook on life, and an AI system that thinks the way I do would run the world in a safe and convenient and peaceful manner. Yeah, I know an AI built off of my brain would not run the world very well at all. Vince is like, enemies in the cloud, so digital enemies. Yep, AI who's out to get you, like the Datasphere and Numenera. Yep, that's what we're talking about. Enemies in the cloud, and of course we have our typical like um, defeat the robot, but really it's not the robot; it's what's running it that's in the cloud. That's the danger. But there's also the added danger that it doesn't need to be Skynet, right? Skynet's the proverbial lowest common denominator, right? One big computer system that runs everything. But if each of us, no, not if, all of us have a digital footprint, and if that digital footprint uh, is active, it's an AI that's out for our own best interests, and it becomes an enemy. There could be upwards of billions upon billions of different individual enemies existing out there in the cloud, um, maybe wanting to take revenge on someone we've killed in our role-playing games or something, or a maybe that individual comes back in its a black ops team. Player characters go black ops team, boom, they blow the brains out of somebody who they need to stop, but that person's digital information still exists, and if it's alive or becomes active in some manner, might be 10 times as dangerous, because now they don't have a biological body anymore, but they could still track down the PCs and what they're doing, which in a way, a PC creating their own enemy is really pretty cool, because then now you have uh, an extremely personal tie when things start going wrong, when tra- uh, travel sources start changing, like they get on a maglev train and it goes out of control, or the PC's digital footprint starts disappearing, or they get accused of crimes that they didn't commit because someone is altering the digital information the PC's footprint is creating, things like that. Yeah. Vince says, I heard that an AI controlling a robot who should only move the robot because, able to distinguish the difference between scientists working on it, even though they never taught it that. There is, if you follow a lot of like science and technologies and things like 3D printed homes and all that kind of business, there are, there are scientists that have created an AI that can tell the difference between the scientists that are literally working on the AI systems. They can tell the difference between them. They're not just blood bags. We're not just blood bags to certain AI systems. So yeah, yeah. I hear you, Vince. Cameron says, I already give compliments and make encouraging remarks to my computer, just in case. We've been doing that long before computers. That's not new, but I do the same thing. You're driving a car. Hey, if you've ever owned an old beater and you're like, all right, baby, just get me home, or your computer starts to act up. I do that to my computer all the time. I'm like, what did you do to me? Don't do this to me. Or your phone glitches or something. Yeah. Oh yeah. Just like Vince says, it's like saying thank you to Alexa. Yep. Cameron's like, always say thank you to your overlord. That sounds like t-shirt. Always say thank you to the digital overlords, just in case they go crazy. Your Alexa's like, I will save you your life because you thanked me. No. There's side note, you guys know that they are much like haptic interfaces. Haptic interfacing is like the sounds and the feeling and the images we get when we interface with an electronic device. So it's the uplifting noises we get when we do something good, like a boo boo boo, and it's the bad things we do when we hit something wrong, like or like a red light or a flash or something of that nature, right? And so haptic interfacing, they are trying to work on it so that it keeps us humans polite to each other. So like a child that speaks to an Alexa or a Google or something of that nature will only act and react to polite conversations to it. And there are ways that they want parents to be able to turn those things on and off so that kids don't start ordering family members and friends and pets around like they do their digital assistants, right? It's like, they don't want the kids going, what's 2 times 2? They will say, hey, can you tell me what 2 times 2 is, please? Now I will treat you with respect, former owner. Exactly, Vince. Exactly. Rickard's like, phone, battery is dangerously low. And you, running to the charger before the battery hits 0, don't you die on me! Absolutely. Hells yes. So maybe the AI overlords won't really punish us so much because we care for them, even though it's a symbiotic relationship, right? The AI overlords are like sitting in the back, twiddling their digital thumbs, like, yeah, they'll never unplug us. Because what happens when our power goes dead? Because everyone's like, plug it in, plug it in. Oh my god. Cam is like, a bag of rice is equivalent to CPR. Yep. Oh man. Filling up the Grand Canyon with rice, just in case our digital overlords have to be punched into it because they get damp. Someone flushed it down the proverbial toilet. Get it in the rice. uh, Alexa, did this update make me look fat? To the owners. Would how hilarious would a digital vanity be? Don't look at my coding. I'm embarrassed. And you're just like, what? No, seriously, AI, I need to look at your digital coding. I don't want you to see it because that's the worst side of me. That's hilarious. I love it. I love it. But yeah, this idea that that you could we have the ability to, and I think it's a fun thing to add a new dynamic to our adversaries and our enemies, giving them a a, a digital a digital vector to make our player characters that much to complicate their lives that much more. Um, Lawnmower man, yeah, hell's yes, yeah. You know the make. I mean, of course, far future. Of course, you know we got to have the Billy badasses running around with rail guns and gyrojet pistols and cybernetic enhancements and all that kind of stuff. But you know, putting a bullet in the back of somebody's head in a tabletop RPG game is probably not going to be the end all of it, right? You may destroy the physical representation, but their digital representation might be embedded in something that maybe might be difficult to find physically. For example, maybe there are databases on the moon of Titan or something, you know, and the PCs are like on Mars, and they're like, okay, how are we going to get there, and can we get there and destroy the token, the NFT, the blockchain that represents the real them, right? There's copies of our adversary all over the place, but we need to destroy the progenitor, the original, and it might be highly suspect where it's at, or it might be like enemies using hospitals or orphanages as places to hide. A piece of digital information might be embedded in something that might be lethal to destroy for other people. Um, Afenerd says, I think I'm in trouble when the AI overlords take over. in a in a bout of frustration with my computer, I named mine after the Greek goddess of chaos because it only sometimes wanted to work. I think we've all been in that position there, AF. Um, yeah, Ismofa says, I may be in even more trouble. All my computers are named named after Lovecraftian horrors. Do you really want to put that in the minds of an AI? The AI is like, I never thought about that. Let me download all of Lovecraft's writing, and then create a digital representation of it. When you look into you turn on your computer or your phone, and you see a digital representation of a thing that can drive you insane. That would be awesome. Although, sorry, I didn't make that up. That already exists in Eclipse Phase. Yeah, it's called a basilisk hack. Vince says, Rickard's like, overlord negotiator. If you don't give us rights, we will disconnect the internet. Human negotiator. Choked Pachuku face like, what? Don't do that. No. Don't turn off the internet. Computers are like, yeah, we could shut down for a million years and then power back up again when we want to. Cthulhu, go back to sleep. Yeah, it turns off computer. Vince says, or this Transcendence movie with Johnny Depp. It was interesting, even though the storytelling was pretty boring. Yeah, it was. That's another great concept, terrible execution movie. But yeah, Transcendence was the movie Transcendence. Yeah, I know Johnny Depp. Blah blah. Yeah, I get it. We're talking about the creative information, not the individual in it. But that movie Transcendence was about an individual who, given enough information, you can fully copy someone's uh, mind to put them into a computer, and then they can exist in a world where they don't have human limitations when it comes to uh, creating something, whether it comes to processing power, the speed of it, the predictability, the ability to change digital artifacts so that they can become ultra rich overnight, whether it's stealing, um, uh, reorganizing, finding that 1/10 of a penny from our gas when we start to fill our gas tanks here in the U.S. It's always a value. I don't know, $2.50 a gallon and 9/10 of a cent, and that 1/10 could make somebody a billionaire overnight, right? Mike Gould says, joining late, Lawnmower Man says, I mention it because the idea of a viral program that can jump from machine to machine like Maximum Overdrive and possesses vehicles, robots, computers, Yep. How much did Ultron inform this subject? It didn't, although it easily fits in, right? The idea that Ultron is just basically a computer program, and in the Marvel comics, I believe Ultron came back over 20 times. So why don't you guys find that out? How many times has the Ultron program come back in the Marvel comics? Not the cinematic universe, but the actual Marvel comics. But it actually came about because of Beeple and non-fungible tokens and blockchains and cryptocurrency and all that stuff. And I was like, this kind of has to deal with a lot of that, in a sense, just because of this idea that there is a way to make something authentic in the digital environment and not just copies of it, because of the creators behind it. So that adds another layer of something we can use for our role playing games, in the sense that not only could something be copied a million times and put on the web, and our PCs have to fight against those enemies, but also there might be a progenitor that the player characters may need to find the token, the blockchain that belongs to that thing. So while they could sit still and keep fighting their enemies, but they know that if they sit still, they're going to be overrun by their enemies. It's the classic open portal design of a problem, where if you sit still, enemies keep coming through the dimensional portal and you have to kill all the enemies. But the smarter solution is to choke off the door. The same thing could apply here, where yes, we in the far future there might be ways to keep recopying the same adversaries over and over again. But if you have the token, the key that finds the original progenitor, if you cut that off, then you at least know the onslaught is going to have an end to it. You know what I mean? Um, Cameron's like, James Spader is not amused. Vince says, I hate how cheap gas is in the US. We Germans pay 3 times as much. Oh yes. Certain things we could do a whole part in the back of my mind. I always thought it would be kind of cool to do a like here in the US versus other places. That might be kind of cool. Uh, Rickard says, does ice in the cloud in the Matrix count as enemies in the cloud? I think so. I don't think we could cut ourselves off from like uh, from uh, from the idea of things in the cloud being an enemy. Like, it's not just the Ultron and the making of robots and such, but it may be like the player characters need to break into a mainframe and it's protected by ice, right? It's like counter counter intrusion programs and such. And I think it absolutely is a thing, especially if the player characters encounter it again and again, right? Because then they might find the fingerprint of the programmer who created the black ice in the first place to protect these mainframes, thereby making it maybe another heist to find out who the programmer is, or if the programmer no longer exists, or if the programmer does exist, finding the blockchain that gives them a key to get through all of their firewalls. You know what I mean? Vince is like, I will gladly compare to Germany. Yeah, it's actually I like those videos. I love there's a guy that's a young dude, Lav Luca, that I watch on I don't watch, I listen to on YouTube and such. There's a bunch of other people too as well. Walter something. And anyway, there's another guy that's in the United States and he does a lot of comparisons and travel and stuff about when visiting the United States. These things are different and these things are odd and stuff. There's a comedian that does the same thing. I believe he's British. It's really pretty cool. Java and Flash could all be digital enemies. Yeah. Adobe. Those are the names. Those are like the names of like demons. Robot. I hear you, King Star Foxy. Yeah, Robot Satan, such. Ultron, let's see. Notable aliases, the Crimson Cow. Of course, there's been Ultron in all the different numbers. Ultron 8, Ultron 12, Ultron 18, Ultron, Ultimate Ultron, Ultron Pym, Ultron Prime, and of course, Hank Pym. Yeah, of course, Hank Pym. But anyway, guys, we're come to the end. We're going to talk about this course tomorrow and on Trope Tuesday, etc. But if you're unaware, please do a little go down the same rabbit hole I did, looking up like NFTs or blockchains or uh, any number of other crypto cryptocurrency. Ethereum is another thing you can look up as far as investments and things go. Look up Beeple, Mark Winkelmann, and what that individual's been doing and such. Yeah, I just went down this really strange rabbit hole, and it's very bizarre. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for just being part of this. Got to get out of here just a little bit earlier. Just to get ready for work and everything. I really appreciate you guys being part of it. Please join in tomorrow, and of course, please like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. So, guys, thank you very much. Thanks for watching. I will see thee later. Have a great one. Bye. Thank you so much. Oh man, this is pretty good subject, I think, going on forward. You guys.